So here in Canada, it's now July 5th. We just celebrated our national holiday, Canada Day. So
Whoop, whoop.
we thought maybe we'd go with a little Canadian horror from the master, David Cronenberg. We're going with 1983's Videodrome.
All right, welcome to the Nostaljunk podcast.
Oh, we're going deep tonight, baby. This is. I mean, leave it to Videodrome and David Cronenberg to make us just go completely, into our subconscious.
Let's get into our episode on Videodrome and do a little bit of a backstory on David Cronenberg. Cronenberg frequented Toronto cinemas almost on a weekly basis and was instantly captivated by film. He has stated that he was traumatized by Bambi, Dumbo, and particularly disturbed by Blue Lagoon. Coincidentally, all of these films dealt with children being separated from their mothers. Despite being disturbed by these films, he still speaks highly of those early Disney and similar children's films as they challenge and entertain the viewer. It wasn't until Cronenberg started attending screenings at the Studio Theatre on College Street, which is located in a region of Toronto affectionately known as Little Italy, that he realized that films are not just for children's amusement, but can be an extremely powerful art form. And because he saw grown-ups leaving the Studio Theatre weeping after a viewing of La Strada, Cronenberg started studying the works of early directors like Fellini, Antonioni, and Bergman. Since Canada did not have a film industry at the time per se, unlike LA for example, Canada only had dramas produced by CBC Television and documentaries produced by the National Film Board of Canada. So, by default, films were made somewhere else, not in Canada. By the time Cronenberg was pursuing filmmaking, there really wasn't a conventional film school in Toronto. But Cronenberg has gone on to say that watching films is truly how you learn to make them.
He's also, I think, I would say, just one of Canada's best filmmakers ever, one of our finest, and he's still going, just one of the greats. Yeah. Obviously, he's rooted kind of in science fiction, although some of his films have strayed.
Yes.
But he can go in so many different directions and come up with so many crazy ideas.
Now, this crazy sci-fi horror landscape that you speak of has been dubbed as body horror. Cronenberg is hugely instrumental in the stylization of this horror subgenre as it plays off the gruesome effects of illness and disease, combined with the humanity's dependence on technology and/or consumption, only to present a philosophical dilemma to the viewer by the ending of the film. Needless to say, Cronenberg's movies are unconventional, but so is the reality of reality.
Whatever appears on the television screen emerges as raw experience for those who watch it. Therefore, television is reality, and reality is less than television.
The origins of the term body horror come from a 1983 article written by Philip Brophy titled Horrality, the Textuality of the Contemporary Horror Film. Brophy states that John Carpenter's The Thing takes the wheel from Ridley Scott's Alien and expounds upon the chestburster scene by extending the notion of a parasitic life form that consumes all living entities only for its survival. The Thing is not concerned with the human condition, nor is it conscious of the perceptions or beliefs of what it is to be human. It just feasts.
Mm-hmm. And it's interesting that body horror, just reading about it and kind of going through it again, and movies that maybe on the surface before I wouldn't necessarily call body horror, but because it just deals with like the disintegration, the violation of just kind of your physical body, like a horror film like Eli Roth's Cabin Fever could be a body horror in that it deals with infection and the person slowly starts to wither away in this cabin, you know what I mean?
Yep. So it's a label that was put on Cronenberg's work that may or may not be what he wanted, but it...
I know, because he was just doing what he...
Right.
He was just in that direction. That's just where he wanted to go, not necessarily...
Think of Tool's music videos.
Yeah, exactly.
That's body horror.
Yeah, for sure.
Definitely.
That's sober video. Yeah, like the weird, the pipeline, the pipe with the like muscles running through it or something.
Gross.
It's so gross. Yeah.
Yeah.
And also very much what we're about to go into and discuss, the horror of Videodrome and that concept of, not even what is real, but like what shapes your reality. In Videodrome's case, technology and media ultimately starts to shape Max Wren's reality, you know?
So this movie came out in 1983.
Crazy.
It's now 2020.
Yeah.
We're still talking about overstimulation through media.
One of the main concepts of the movie is the media turns into an extension of the body, almost like an extension of our perception of reality. And, you know, you see those people kind of just like glued to their phones constantly. In a certain way, they're only existing with this fake reality that exists in that little screen. How many times have you seen Videodrome now? I don't even know.
I don't know.
I'd probably say maybe 10.
Yep.
This might be my 10th. I don't know. Definitely a movie that rewards the viewer with repeated viewings in just like, you know, it's a little too heady to be deciphered maybe upon first viewing. It goes so many weird places.
Yeah. If this is up your alley, movies like this, the first viewing is what takes your breath away, and then you're thirsting for more.
Mm-hmm.
And usually you watch it the second time close to the first time. Civic TV. So, Civic TV.
Mm-hmm.
Does that sound like a similar Toronto television station?
I don't know.
City TV.
Oh. I know. I want that on a t-shirt.
I saw it already online.
Really?
Yeah. I love that. Like, this is very RoboCop.
Yeah, exactly. You're right. And I like kind of how this is, you know, this is your Alexa, this is your Siri. We have, you know, his physical, real personal assistant kind of going over his schedule for the day, but it's like he's in bed. And
What's interesting, she drops these tapes off the day before.
yeah, that's weird. She's a good assistant.
Like, there can't be a deviation from the schedule.
Like, is he still asleep right now? Is he just like
He hasn't hit snooze yet.
Deborah Harry as Nikki? Is this the only movie she acted in?
Okay, look at that. I am shocked by her filmography.
So I was way off.
Debbie Harry, she started acting in 1975, Deadly Hero.
I mean, a lot of these movies, to be fair, I've never... Hairspray, I've heard.
Oh, yeah.
Tales from the Dark Side, the movie. That was a cool one. Remember she was like the witch?
I haven't seen that.
Not the witch, but...
I haven't seen that. Oh, she was in Body Bags. Rick Baker.
American Werewolf in London.
Classic.
Probably, I guess, most famous.
I mean,
although he did do... I guess it's a little more subdued special effects. The ending of Taxi Driver is always kind of stuck with me. Howard Shore. Then I like it when a director kind of sticks with a team. You know, he's like... I don't think... The director of photography wasn't Peter Strzelecki, but Howard Shore has definitely played a large part in all of Cronenberg's films over the years. I like Canadian movies that are actually set in a Canadian city.
Yeah.
Toronto famously always kind of a stand-in for like downtown LA, and you know, a lot of movies just aren't set in Toronto, Ontario.
No.
And like, what is this? Is he's like black market dealing like smut porn films?
Well, yeah, like he's after some shocking.
He's always looking for the most extreme stuff, and these guys,
which is the commentary of Videodrome in itself, is that we can't get enough.
Yeah.
Of whatever is enough.
I mean, that even speaks to, I don't know about you. I would think it would speak to you in the same way, but for me, you know, I'm kind of that same way, especially as a horror fan. You're always looking for the next.
It's a high.
It is, yeah, it's weird.
You know, same exists in extreme music. You know, like there's always this evolution or de-evolution, however you like to see.
I always like this wooden dildo.
Yeah,
that's
I don't
like
know,
a geisha, weird geisha doll. It looks. Doesn't.
Do you have much experience with wooden dildos?
I mean, I have zero experience.
Okay,
with wooden dildos.
I just, you know what I worry about? Splinters.
Well, I mean, I would hope it'd be nice and polished up.
Yeah. Now, would you use a softwood?
No, it'd have to be hard. Come on, man.
A Canadian hardwood. Hard
a
maple.
A big spruce.
A big spruce. Yes.
If I ever get a Canadian hardwood dildo, I'm gonna name her Big Spruce.
I thought you were gonna call it Videodrome.
Look at these guys are so bored with this boring ass samurai softcore
This is
porn.
what happens.
I know, it's like
you remember- do
you're
you
no
re-
longer watching it for the entertainment value. You're watching it on its, and you're like grading it on its merits of just like what it can do for you and your business, you know.
And potentially on its extremities. So you could be watching true torture and you question whether or not it's entertaining enough. So you could have a doctored one or a real one, and at the end of the day, they're trying to decide, I don't know, did it look fun?
See?
Yeah.
It's soft again.
Yeah.
You're going to get it.
More ways than one.
Ugh. It's downtown Toronto.
I love Toronto.
So do
Don't get me
I. I
wrong.
love
Like, Toronto is a great time. And that goes to anyone, anywhere in North America. You know, you could go to New York, Boston. Everyone has their own vibe. But Toronto, to us, Canadians, definitely is the big city
It is. Well, I
for
mean, it
you
is.
to go to without feeling like you've left Canada.
Yeah, for sure. And like Montreal, while that is a big city, yeah, like there's something very. Montreal's also got like a small town heart and its little neighborhoods and its quirkiness kind of thing.
Most
but yeah,
certainly.
Toronto is just like the city, you know.
Like, Toronto's aware of its size.
Yeah.
When I went to Rome, there's a place that knows its size and knows that you're only there to spend your money.
Oh yeah, so that's the first little creepy thing. It's like the weird signal, the video feed they found was like it was like coming from Malaysia, but it wasn't really where it's coming from. They don't know where it's coming from.
Yeah.
And here we get the first view, and I don't
Yeah.
know, there's something so creepy and so disturbing about grainy image, and
Yeah.
obviously they're just it looks like a snuff film.
It definitely does. Do you know, this also reminds me of that movie 8mm.
I was going to say, it's along those lines where it's like an investigation, a detective story into finding the source and origin of, some disturbing piece of...
A definite commentary on desensitization through exposure. So you have...
We can assume that he's never seen anything like this before. He's like all fucked up,
The two of them, if you were to do a Venn diagram, they're both very desensitized to the imagery to the point where they're like, this is real. I need to find more of it and even harder stuff. Something I remember from 8mm, Come to Daddy playing on the record player by FX Twin.
Man, I haven't seen that movie in so long, I don't remember that at all. I'm going to check that out again.
You know who did a good cover of that? Dillinger Escape Plan, featuring Mike Patton on vocals.
I like Mike Patton.
He's aligning our exposure to television and disturbing content by painting a picture of disturbing content through people who are disturbed. So you end up being entertained by exactly the same smut that's being criticized on screen.
And just wanted to quickly add this in that, so the basis of this film came from when Cronenberg was a child. Like he used to pick up television signals from Buffalo, New York late at night after like all the Canadian stations had gone off the air. And he was always worried he might see something like super disturbing, not meant for public consumption. But I can identify with that. Like you ever like be up super late and you're just like watching random, even like that, the TV signals is something so creepy, like especially late at night.
Yeah. Well, there's a part of you that hopes you see something awful.
And we still do. I like this guy's name, Professor Brian Oblivion. Like, is he an X-Men?
Yeah.
He's like Max Headroom mixed with Professor Xavier.
Yeah. This movie was all filmed in the late part of 1981. And the first little bit of the filming was dedicated to just this, filming the POV of monitors.
Mm-hmm. Like, and you're not seeing too much gore. It's just the idea of what you're watching makes it super hard.
That's what's scary.
Hard to look at it. Yeah.
That's what's scary is that, like you said, you're looking at the static stations, maybe hoping to see something come through. What are you going to see? You don't know.
And do you really want to see it?
Right.
I guess you won't know until you see it.
This movie may not be of someone else's taste, but a car accident, everyone turns their head.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if you don't, great. You're going to heaven for sure. But for anyone that drives by there's part of you that goes, is everyone okay? I hope I don't see a head.
I know. I'm still going to look, though.
But you're looking.
It's weird that, like, just human behavior, we crave, obviously, a lot of things, but isn't it strange that, like, violence and kind of, I don't know, there's, like, what's the term? Morbid curiosity is, like, a real thing, it's just a strange part of the human brain.
That's really interesting that it's called morbid curiosity. It's not critiquing the morbidity in which we are viewing. It's that you have the problem, not that there's a problem out there.
But is that even saying it's a problem, though?
No, it's not.
I wouldn't, I don't think so.
See, morbidity and what's good, what's bad, that's all subjective. Is this a good movie? Is this a bad movie? Well, someone might view this movie as saying it's neither. It's something that's important to study from.
Mm-hmm. I know that murder is bad, like, on the further surface. Doesn't mean I'm not interested in them. I guess that's kind of...
Yeah. Well, that's part of the hook of horror and alternate kind of realities, and that morbid curiosity is that you get to exercise those demons in those moments. Now, you may not have impulses, but you don't need them to experience a reality that's not going to present itself to you necessarily within your living awareness. So death is going to happen to all of us. That's for sure. But when you listen to death metal and they talk about death, that doesn't necessarily mean it's a bad thing. That actually could be more of a celebration.
I'm just trying to understand it,
Yeah, it's another way to appreciate it. It's exposure. And some might say a desensitization of death. So it normalizes it. It's no longer a mystery. It's no longer an unknown.
Yeah, I mean...
And right now, we're watching a transmission of a signal that's coming in, which is essentially a snuff film. You don't know where this is going to end up. This is torture at this point. But there's part of you that's wondering, how far can they go with someone before she gives up? That's what they're viewing. She asked to watch some porno, and this is what was put on.
But she's, like, kind of into it.
But she's into it. So that also says porno doesn't have to be your typical... probably majority what people consider porn is. I mean, what's happening right here in front of the TV is more pornographic to some people than what's happening on TV. What's happening on TV is more confusing to some.
Yeah. Maybe because like, sex is very... we know what sex is, but we don't know what's happening on Videodrome. It's like, what the hell are we watching? But we know what we're watching with sex. But then, you'd consider that more graphic because it's, two naked bodies.
That's interesting too. This scene actually normalizes nudity.
Makes nudity and sex like seem tame or like very acceptable, normal.
Yeah.
Because Videodrome is not normal.
And honestly, if you're watching Videodrome for some arousal, this scene between Debbie Harry and old Jimmy Woods, and
she's turned out to be way more depraved than she initially let on in that TV interview. She was saying violence for stimulation and the like, I guess, is bad, but she's into that. Look at her. Ew, the sound of them kissing.
I know, it's very, very moist.
It had to have been on purpose. That couldn't have been actually their lips, do you think? It's very
synthetic.
It's like a leech or something. Oh yeah, this is okay. I'm gonna go and say it right now. This is my favorite shot in the movie.
Yes,
they're both thinking this right now. In their heads.
Yeah,
they Videodrome was just on the TV, but they're thinking of it while they're having sex with each other because it's so crazy and extreme.
Yeah, like the torture room, like making out in the torture room, having sex in the torture room. We don't know if people even die in this room yet.
Yeah, that's true.
Like, what happens to these people?
We don't know if it's a set. We don't know if it's real. We don't know anything yet. But the idea of it is what's so arousing to them. What's kind of arousing? What does that say about me? He's like, I just got laid last night in a torture room.
I pierced a girl's ears.
What did you do last night?
That's the exact same background that is used in all of his video wake-ups. So she records that right at her desk.
And like, yeah, what's she...
Whoa!
I know, that was just blatant sexual harassment. Yeah, that's, I guess, the workplace in the 80s. Or was it? I don't know.
Is it? I don't know.
I don't know.
But like, he's questing after sensational exploitation. He's bridging that gap in normalizing or creating a separation between what is considered pedestrian pornography and which is extreme.
And he's also saying something too about, because what they were just watching was a porn, but it was rooted in happiness. It was like this Greek, they're frolicking and they're just laughing and they're, sex as a joyous thing. But like now he's like into the sex as almost like a deviant, disturbing act kind of mindset. Yeah.
Which is also commentary on how we behave in North America with sex in movies. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of us that have grown up thinking that you're not supposed to watch movies that depict sex as enjoyment or something that people do outside of wedlock or be more than just kissing. I think movies like this help other directors say, yeah, it's okay now because he's already made this movie. It's been criticized. It's been
it was a bomb at its release.
Right.
It only made like $2 million off of like $6 million budget or something.
Sure.
And this was like I think his first kind of big budget-ish high profile movie. Yeah. So it kind of sucks that it didn't go that way for him. But it's just such an out there movie. Mainstream audiences are not, especially imagine 1983 watching Videodrome. It's like, what the fuck am I watching? He was working nearly for a year on a version of Total Recall, in which you just kind of referenced Paul Verhoeven and RoboCop, but experienced creative differences. Who knows what Cronenberg's Total Recall would have been like?
Like, how much work did he get done in 1 year?
I don't know.
And where is that?
I know. Now, I love Total Recall, but I would love to see a Cronenberg Total Recall.
Yeah. You know what's interesting here? So now he's telling someone who shares his mutual morbid curiosity, saying not to pursue it and just remain a viewer. She's saying that she wants to go and participate because she is going away on business in Pittsburgh and she wants to try out for Videodrome.
Oh, yeah, because they ended up tracking it down to Pittsburgh?
Pittsburgh, not Malaysia. So they still don't know. They still assume everything ends in death.
I know, and he's just scared that it actually is real, but she just wants to find out for herself. Because what else are you going to do with a cigarette?
Right. I thought you were just going to smoke it, but that's cool.
He's like, God damn it. So it's interesting, too, like, the facade that, at this point, James Woods puts on is like he wants the hard stuff. He really, but he's still not even ready for it at this point. Like, he can't even stand watching her put a cigarette butt out on her breasts.
He is the moral compass. With morbid curiosity, which is there's a line at some point where you say, okay, that's enough. Mm-hmm. But she is the person that will always forever actually be the flame for morbid curiosity, continue to push.
Yeah.
This is a weird relationship.
Yeah, so what's she, just like his softcore porn dealer for, I guess, many years? Who knows?
His confidant?
Yeah. That's a weird line. He stayed up late watching TV, but
his date was putting out cigarette butts on herself. Yeah. Isn't that's really interesting too? Yeah.
Because
the comment.
He's trying to compartmentalize it by saying I was just watching TV because that's the only way I can understand what I just did.
Right.
In a way.
Yeah. Yeah. So anything we watch on TV is just watching TV.
Yeah. But you can brush it off.
That's right. And that's all you need to know. As someone who's excited about that kind of content, is being told that it is real. Mm-hmm. Oh,
I know. But now I'm trying to like wrap my head around what are they talking about philosophy, like Videodrome's philosophy, the blending of media and reality into one or something. I'm trying to it's such a crazy concept.
I wonder if it has something like you said. So let's take what you started there. It's the quest for what's next. Is Videodrome's philosophy, if this is what lured you in, where does it end? And how far will you go?
And almost like, is Videodrome real? Well, maybe it doesn't matter, but if you think it's real, that's what matters. You know?
Yeah.
Jerry, just remember, it's not a lie if you believe it.
I love when he tells him that, and Jerry immediately goes, "I got it. I understand. It's not a lie if you believe it."
That's a Costanza philosophy.
George could definitely pass a lie detector test.
Right. I think personally Videodrome, although could be interpreted as anything you want. Videodrome, the movie, is Videodrome.
Mm-hmm.
What we are watching is Videodrome, is the same thing he's lusting after. We're also being desensitized through this thought of quest of media to consume us. So this is almost like the stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Is it eating you or are you eating it? Right? Are you the consumer of media, or does it consume you only for you to consume it? So how far does it need to be pushed before you are satiated?
Well, that's pretty heady.
But really, I mean, that's what we're talking about here. We're talking about extremes. We're talking about borderline pornography, but we're talking ultimately torture. That's what he's after.
Yeah, violence as joyful entertainment.
Right.
You know?
Yeah. Yeah. Like this guy's watching open heart surgery.
And he's smiling about it. Yeah, and this is such a weird scene, too.
It's like
this
a
homeless shelter that's...
Yes, a shelter, yeah.
You know, where they can seek shelter, and what are they, and how do they seek shelter? Look, every one of these cubicles seems to have a TV.
Right.
It's almost like the future of depicted in like a movie like Brazil.
Yes.
Which is just like where people always have a TV screen like 3 inches from their face.
Yeah.
You know, it's kind of the...
This is not too far removed from the concept of Carpenter's They Live.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
James Woods has the glasses on the entirety of the movie.
Mm-hmm.
Now, instead of abolishing it...
Videodrome is the glasses that was put on his head. Yeah, that's
Yes.
true. No, everyone else is still kind of just living normal, trying to live their normal lives, but he's thrust into this new way of thinking.
Also, here's another takeaway. How far does the content of what Videodrome presents to the world before the world absorbs Videodrome's shocking content and considers it a new norm? You know, when you see shocking horror movies, usually the first shocking of whatever the new norm is becomes the norm.
Mm-hmm.
So now it's no longer shocking. It's now mainstream.
Well, and we'll talk about it later, but I think that's kind of what the end of this movie tells us.
Most certainly.
Yeah.
Yeah. Also, are they watching Betamax tapes in this?
Looks like a Betamax. Yeah, just that one.
Did you have one?
That one wheel. I never had Betamax.
No,
I only
neither.
had VHS. That I remember. I mean, you know, I can probably think as far back as being 4 or 5, maybe at the most.
Yeah, I loved it. Sonia Smith, Bianca Oblivion.
So wait, here we go.
She's a Canadian actress.
Yes, just a Canadian actress, that one of those actresses you've seen all your life. Well, Canadians maybe have seen, but you know, never really broke out into too much crazy fame. Yeah, Street Legal. I think Street Legal. That's where I mostly know her from.
Start the day well on grapefruit. I wonder if that has any significance to his day every day.
Ew.
Does he have grapefruit
Man,
every day? I know you don't like grapefruit.
We talked about grapefruit
Yes,
before.
we have.
That's
totally.
hilarious.
Yeah. You asked me if I liked grapefruit, and I said I do not like grapefruit. I like grapefruit flavor things. You were still repulsed.
I was.
Yep. Now, here she is dropping off her cassettes for tomorrow's Wake Up. Now, this is a very interesting interaction here.
Oh, yeah, this is where the reality and fantasy start mixing.
There you go.
It's like Patrick Bateman in American Psycho. That's what he wanted to do in that moment. But did he really do it? No, he didn't. But in his mind, he actually smacked her a couple times.
Yeah, that's what's scary about this concept, is that how far does media
influence your life? Yeah, and alter your perception of reality.
Yeah.
Is that a big magic eye? Remember those magic eye paintings?
Brian sent him something. I bet you that is scandalous at best.
Remember those clamshell VHS cases?
Oh, dude, those are the best.
Even though that's a Betamax.
Oh.
Oh, yeah. The weird tape that's breathing.
Yeah.
Such a cool effect.
This whole next scene is incredible. Yeah, kudos to Baker for all the effects that he did in this.
Look at that weird image in the background. Is that Hitler as a ballerina?
Yeah.
Oh.
On
skates? No, stilts?
The battle for the mind of North America will be fought in the video arena, the Videodrome. The television screen is the retina of the mind's eye. Therefore, the television screen is part of the physical structure of the brain. Therefore, whatever appears on the television screen emerges as raw experience for those who watch it. Therefore, television is reality, and reality is less than television. Max, I'm so glad you came to me. I've been through it all myself, you see. Your reality is already half video hallucination. If you're not careful, it will become total hallucination. You'll have to learn to live in a very strange new world. I had a brain tumor, and I had visions. I believe the visions caused the tumor and not the reverse. I could feel the visions coalesce and become flesh. Uncontrollable flesh. But when they removed the tumor, it was called Videodrome. I was Videodrome's first victim.
But who's behind it? What do they want?
Oh yeah, so here he's saying that, yeah, like, media, that's where, I mean, that's what people are kind of like living in, you know?
Yes.
And it's up to the makers of the media are ultimately going to be the ones to take over the minds of the population.
Yeah. What's also disturbing is that you and I are watching this film right now as viewers. But what Cronenberg is doing is showing us the exact same disturbing content that the participants in the movie are watching, which forces you to align yourself with these disturbed individuals. Again, Videodrome, the movie in itself, is Videodrome.
Videodrome.
Jesus Christ.
Come to me now. Come to Nikki. Don't keep me waiting. Please.
That's a creepy concept too, like,
But the more that you watch this kind of content where it tells you that it wants you,
it's a drug, you know.
it is a drug. It's a high.
This is such a cool movie, man. I mean, very fitting too that they're making, you know, the TV like these succulent, full, red female lips, like enticing you to come, you know, especially just someone like him.
This is him. This is all that's left.
What are you talking about?
Brian Oblivion died quietly on an operating table 11 months ago.
The brain problem?
The Videodrome problem. You have it too.
But he was on that panel show with me.
On tape. He made thousands of them, sometimes 3 or 4 a day. I keep him alive as best I can. He had so much to offer. My father helped to create Videodrome. He saw it as the next phase in the evolution of man as a technological animal. When he realized what his partners were going to use it for, he tried to take it away from them. And they killed him. Quietly. At the end, he was convinced that public life on television was more real than private life in the flesh. He wasn't afraid to let his body die.
Tell me about my Videodrome problem.
My father knows much more about it than I do. Listen to him.
That takes a real talent to be just like, I'm going to choose this tape for this interview, and it's going to go seamlessly and seem like, you know, he's a real person.
It's also kind of plays into the reality that exists within this film, which is that media can absorb you
and also
predict you.
Yeah, and at any time, like, you know, we're watching things on TV or even something as simple as, man, check out this person that freaked out and like pulled a gun on somebody. Isn't the person with the gun crazy? And you watch the clip and the small clip and you're like, wow, she is deranged. But what we don't know is that maybe in a longer clip, in reality, she was attacked or something.
Yep.
Like media, it almost plays into that fact that we never really know what we're watching.
Fake news.
Yeah, exactly.
It's just fake news.
And someone like Donald Trump can get away
Yep.
with just using that as an excuse and brushing it off.
I believe that the growth in my head, this one, right here, I think that it is not really a tumor. Not an uncontrolled, undirected little bubbling pot of flesh, but that it is, in fact, a new organ, a new part of the brain. I think that massive doses of Videodrome signal will ultimately create a new outgrowth of the human brain, which will produce and control hallucination to the point that it will change human reality. After all, there is nothing real outside our perception of reality, is there? You can see that, can't you?
Oh, look at that
What is-
odd
I know,
scar
what's this-
developing
why
on the
is-
stomach.
Wearing suspenders? Or is that a gun holster?
That's a holster.
Okay.
Watching TV with a gun really makes me feel more comfortable. Oh, so
Ew.
Mr. Woods.
Such a cool effect.
Yeah.
I'm just going to save this for later. I almost like, and now we're kind of going into the thinking of when like virtual and reality meld. Now you can make your own perception of reality. Now he is like gone full Videodrome in a way. Like he's, you know, he's broken that barrier of
The hallucination.
hallucination versus reality.
Yeah.
And it's like, shit, did I really put that in my belly? And it's like, I don't know if I did.
But more importantly, did my belly just become a vagina?
I know.
Yeah, that's bizarre. You know, like, yes, we're watching a Cronenberg movie. That statement alone comes with
Yeah.
with a lot of baggage. But, and not in a bad way. It's just, you know, you're about to watch something that's got some heavy content.
So yeah, that was a nice instance, I guess, of like pure body horror.
Yeah.
Let's go into maybe what are your favorite, or like what body horror movies can you think of, like that, you know, stand out to you?
Without mentioning other Cronenbergs, it's very
I
difficult.
know, that's, you know.
But The Blob
is
one. The Fly. If we could consider RoboCop one, I'd also like to say that, because
there's definitely body trauma.
Well, yes, and I do think there is a body horror element where it's the concept of body horror, which is you treat police officers as robots in society. You just assume they're going to operate 24/7 to risk life and limb. Just the mechanization of law enforcement.
That's true.
Yeah. So does body horror necessarily always have to have a biomechanical affiliation, or does it just have to be something shocking via the body?
Yeah, I don't know. Like, yeah, that's a good question. Like, because yeah, violence, extreme gore and stuff has always existed, but it's maybe not necessarily body horror. When I think of body horror, I think of like what we were talking about, where it's like the idea and the depiction of the disintegration, or like one that comes to mind to me is, have you ever seen Starry Eyes?
No.
From 2014, I think. It's starring, her name's Alex Esso. It's a kind of a riff-ish on Rosemary's Baby, in which there's a struggling and aspiring actress in Hollywood. She wants to do whatever it takes to become famous. So she ends up kind of selling her soul to this demon devil thing that runs a movie studio. But in order for her to truly transform into the perfect movie star, her body has to die. So like the second half of the movie is literally her she just starts to get sick, and then she gets sicker, and then her body starts flaking, and her skin starts coming off, and her hair falls out, and her teeth fall out. Like, it's crazy. But then she transforms, and she gets resurrected as this, like,
right,
you know, beautiful goddess.
Yeah. There's I think body horror could truly lend itself to more of it doesn't have to be a literal body horror, but more of a concept.
Yeah.
And another one that I'd actually give credit to is Neon Demon.
Oh, I never saw that one. Yeah.
So, you know, it's about consumption, the value of humanity.
Mm-hmm. His glasses look like they're on upside down.
Yeah, they're dynamite for sure.
This again playing into the whole They Live concept in a way where
Sure.
this guy Barry Convex, he's the villain, kind of going to be the villain of the movie.